On January 22nd, the world's Chinese population will usher in the new year. And this year, it is the year of the rabbit. You know, for me, there were many years of the rabbit. During our Magic of Chemistry show, which Ariel Fenster, Dave Harpp, and I performed across North America for many years, I used to pull a rabbit out of a hat. Well, at first it was a real rabbit, but working with live animals presents certain difficulties. And in any case, a synthetic rabbit emerging from a hat proved to be more in line with the show, since it paved the way for a discussion of synthetic chemicals. So we did switch to a synthetic rabbit, and he was, I can tell you, much easier to take care of than a real rabbit, and he didn't tend to run away. Pulling a rabbit out of a hat. It's such an iconic image of magic. It symbolizes the practice of stage magic. And interesting enough, even as an expression, it has woven its way into our everyday language because it signifies doing something that seems impossible, as if it were done by magic. Now, what about the origin of this trick? It seems somewhat murky. Some magic historians trace it back to the French magician Louis Comte, who is said to have introduced it sometime around 1830. But others say that it was the Scottish magician John Henry Anderson who thrilled audiences in the mid-19th century. He called himself the Great Wizard of the North, and he used to produce rabbits out of hats. Anderson did more than just that. He popularized the famous bullet catch, and he also reveled in exposing the tricks of fraudulent mediums and spiritualists. So although the rabbit trick is widely regarded as a symbol of magic, very few magicians actually perform it. But American Marty Haney does, as Marty the Magician, and he has a license to do so. Yes, in the US, you need a license to pull a rabbit out of a hat, as long as it's a live rabbit. Well, Marty learned about that requirement in 2005, when after a show that he did for children at a library, a Department of Agriculture inspector showed up and asked to be shown his license. Well, it seems that back in 1966, a law had been introduced requiring zoos, circuses, and traveling shows to obtain a license for exhibiting animals, and that was contingent on demonstrating that animals were being properly cared for. Well, that's legitimate legislation. I mean, we would all agree that animals need to be humanely treated. It was this law that brought the inspector to Marty's show and resulted in him having to pay $40 annually for a license. Interestingly, the law applies only to warm-blooded animals. So you know what? Pulling an iguana or a snake out of a hat, you would not need a license for that. Anyway, all was good until the year 2009, when another law was introduced, requiring licensed exhibitors of animals to have a written disaster plan, which Marty now has. It covers how his rabbit will be handled in case of floods and tornadoes, heat waves, and chemical leaks. So no wonder that most performers have resorted to using synthetic rabbits, but not Penn and Teller. They performed a classic trick with a live rabbit on the Jimmy Fallon show. You can watch it on the link that I've provided. I don't know if they have a license. Anyway, I'm sticking to using my synthetic rabbit. And for all of my Chinese friends and followers out there, Happy Year of the Rabbit. And that for today is our Cup of Joe.